Fire brigade.
Yeah, hello, hi, in the fire, flat 16 Grenfell Tower.
Sorry, a fire where?
Flat 16 Grenfell Tower. In the flat,
Right, hang on.
flat 16 Grenfell Tower.
Flat 16, and what's the postcode?
W111TG.
On the day of June 14th, 2017, Grenfell Tower apartment complex was the habitat for nearly 293 people. It was a 24-storied building located in North Kensington, West London. People were happily living in that building, but a tragedy changed their fate. Fire broke out in the Grenfell Tower apartment complex and killed 72 residents. This is the story of a tragic accident at Grenfell Tower on June 14, 2017. At 12:54 a.m. in British summer time, a high-rise fire started in the 24-story Grenfell Tower apartment complex in North Kensington, West London, and burned for 60 hours. There were 72 fatalities, more than 70 injuries, and 223 escapes. It is one of the deadliest structural fires to ever occur in the UK. Behelu Kebede, the inhabitant of flat 16 on the 4th floor, came home on the evening of June 13, 2017. He arrived in the living room around 23:30. Kebede fell asleep on a mattress in the living room when the two with whom he shares flat 16 are already asleep. A fire alarm briefly wakes him up. He discovered that the kitchen's hot point fridge freezer was on fire. Following his attempt to awaken the other two occupants of flat 16, Kebede calls 999 at 12:54 a.m. Kebede began to escape the building after knocking on his neighbors' doors to warn them of the fire. The fire could be seen shining from the window of flat 16 6 minutes after Kebede's call, when the first members of the London Fire Brigade arrived on the site. More than 999 calls came in. 2 additional engines were dispatched, and the tenants were advised to adhere to the stay-put policy by remaining in their apartments. The first firefighters arrived at flat 16 at 1:07 a.m., and by 1:08 the fire was licking up the outside of the tower and melting the UPVC window frames. When the combustible cladding caught fire, the space between it and the insulation served as a chimney to draw the flames up. Firefighters arrived at flat 16's kitchen fire at 1:14, but it was too late. The flames had already spread. More engines and an aerial appliance were sought as the catastrophe grew worse. The 4th floor was the highest that the water nets could reach from the ground. Some inhabitants of the 5th and 6th levels began to notice that smoke had moved from flat 16 to flat 26. 34 out of 293 residents had escaped by 1:18, and between 1:18 and 1:38, 110 had done so. By 1:30, the flames had advanced further behind the aluminum siding and had reached the roof of the building, which was startlingly quick for a fire to develop. About 20 engines had already been sent to Grenfell at this point. Next, police officers showed up to establish an exclusion zone, and then London ambulances started to show up to treat the walking injured. Many people were trapped inside their apartments as a result of the smoke and flames that were filling the lobbies of multiple stories. Between 1:30 and 1:58, the staircase was filled with smoke, and only 20 people were able to get out. The outside blaze kept spreading sideways, and at 1:42 it had reached the north side. However, radio connection had gone down, so the rescue efforts relied on runners and slips of paper to provide fighters with residents' whereabouts. Firefighters were given flat numbers of confirmed trapped persons. Firefighters had arrived at flats to find them empty because inhabitants had escaped the smoke due to the communication slowdown. Despite the fact that many people were still on the phone with 999 dispatch, individuals looking for them were unable to receive their current whereabouts. After 2:00 a.m., many terrified people tried to signal their location by flashlights in their apartments. Regrettably, up to 4 of them were forced to jump from the building when they faced the flames. At 6:05 and 8:07, the last 2 persons to be rescued from the fire. But not everyone had made it out alive. The fire wouldn't be officially put out until the evening of June 16th, after which it would continue to burn. Rescue operations were replaced by recovery and information collection. The fire destroyed 151 homes in all, including those at Grenfell, as well as the smaller 3-story blocks next to the tower. 72 people died in the fire. One of them passed away in the hospital the following day, and another in January of 2018. Since many of the victims were youngsters and the fire was even blamed for a stillbirth, it goes without saying that the tragedy had a profound impact on the neighborhood. Tragically, on the day of the fire, only 12 fatalities were confirmed. It goes without saying that an investigation would then be conducted, and this investigation would take the form of the Grenfell Inquiry, which was announced by the then Prime Minister Theresa May on June 29, 2017. Scaffolding and a covering to protect the evidence inside were placed on Grenfell Tower. The refrigerator and freezer in flat number 16 were clearly the source of the fire's beginning. The UPVC window jambs and frames that protected the highly combustible insulation were removed by this melting. According to the investigation, fire was able to move inside the cladding once this was made visible. The rapid spread was quickly linked to the cladding, although few people were overly surprised by this finding after the inquiry. It was well known that Grenfell had major safety management problems as early as 2012. These included inadequate emergency illumination, poorly kept firefighting apparatus, including extinguishers that were no longer effective, and other materials that had gone years without being inspected. The structure lacked a central alarm system. As a result, many people in higher places were ignorant of the fire below. But these problems were set aside and simply neglected in the hope that they would go away. Some residents even started a blog and a group named the Grenfell Action Group. A health and safety study from 2012 that expressed concerns about the building's fire safety was disclosed in 2013 by the organization. The group also drew attention to the fact that there were insufficient escape routes and that the passageways had been allowed to accumulate trash, which had blocked any remaining escape routes. In an always elegant move, the council threatened legal action against the bloggers in 2013, claiming that their posts amounted to defamation and harassment. Tragically, 2 of them, Mariam El-Khoury and Nadia Shoker, were among those who died in the blaze. All of these issues were present at Grenfell long before the renovations, however. It was discovered throughout the investigation that the London Fire and Emergency Planning Authority sent a fire deficiency notice to the Kensington-Chelsea Tenant Management Organization in November 2016, stating various fire safety hazards at Grenfell that required action by May 2017, but many of these issues remained unresolved. It would be difficult to characterize this as anything other than criminal negligence. And on July 27, 2017, the Metropolitan Police informed the public that they had reasonable grounds to believe that the Kensington and Chelsea Tenant Management Organization and the Royal Borough of Kensington and Chelsea may have committed corporate manslaughter. Charges have not yet been brought, though, as the Grenfell inquiry has just recently come to an end. It is broken into 2 phases. Phase 1, the main source of this film, was revealed in October 2019 and includes the circumstances surrounding the renovation the night of the fire. Phase 2 will seek to identify the responsible party for permitting the renovation to proceed in the manner that it did. Sadly, this means that it may be 7 years after the catastrophe, as such charges are not expected to materialize until 2023 or 2024. However, in a despicable attempt to profit on other people's suffering, 20 people attempted to file claims for fake compensation for either being in the tower when they actually weren't a resident of the building, or for family members, which was actually a lie. They were accused of engaging in fraud, found guilty, and given a sentence. It is now still there while the investigation is ongoing. Once that is over, it will be destroyed and turned into a memorial for these deaths. The accident shows what happens when people are reckless, frugal, and underinvest, the £300,000 that were saved would be overrun by the disaster's estimated $200 million to $1 billion. As a result of the catastrophe, the UK cladding scandal broke, financially ruining many as their apartments lost all value overnight as insurance companies refused to cover clad structures. Additionally, it led to the relocation of numerous residents. If you guys like to watch this video, make sure to comment below. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel for more incidents like this.